So for Pepper's potty training, the pee pad training always sets the dogs back. It's teaching them that it's okay to go in the house. It happens to every single person that does pee pad training. So she was definitely she definitely thought that she was supposed to go in the house, and initially she was going outside even if we were outside for 45 minutes or an hour, and then she would come in the house and do her business. So to work on that, I put her on a really strict crate schedule at first, which, it's not my favorite way to potty train, but it is what it is. She needed it. So if we went outside for a while and she didn't do her pee and poo, she went in her crate for 15 minutes, and then I take her back out to do it. And she finally started going outside. One thing that did help her transition is that we have an outdoor mat that's just kind of like a rubber mat outside our side door entrance, and she was kind of aiming her peas and poos there, which I'm okay with. It's easy to clean up, and it's something that I think you should probably put outside your house. So you could just use something cheap from the dollar store that you could throw out later, or just use like a rubber mat that you can just spray off. She didn't always get her poo and pee on the mat, but she kind of aimed for that area, and I noticed that she was consistently going in that area. So it's kind of useful. You could just use it for whatever part of your yard you want her to go in. That's one thing that will really help the transition. So that's the going outside. Also, I rewarded her every time she went outside. I also needed to go out with her. Sometimes it took her, depending on what the distraction level is. If there's other dogs running around, like with your new puppy, I suggest taking Pepper out alone, because she gets very focused on playing with the other dogs and she'll forget to go. So taking her out alone for set aside a chunk of time. So bring the kids out with you, for 10 minutes or so, 10 or 15 minutes, and just make sure that you visually see her go. She poops a lot, so she poops more frequently than other dogs. And because of that, I've been feeding her, cutting her off from food at about 5:30, because otherwise she poops in her crate during the night. So and she's doing well with her potty training, but she's still not grasping I'm supposed to go immediately when I get outside. So at night, I'll take them out for their final pee and poo, and sometimes she goes pee but she doesn't poo, and then she'll poo in her crate during the night and she won't say anything. She'll just go, and then there'll be a poop in her crate in the morning. So that was kind of remedied when I stopped feeding her after about 5:30. So any larger meals, like kibble, that you're gonna give her earlier in the day is better. She needs to poop about an hour after she eats still, which is common for young puppies, but she's a little older now, and it's just she has a really fast digestion. So yeah, I want you to just be really mindful of that. So poop obviously first thing in the morning. Go out with her. Make sure she goes poop before you come back inside. And then after she eats a meal, so if you're doing, I tend to try and move them to one meal a day with kibble. So I was still giving her a little bit in the morning as a breakfast, sort of half a cup or something like that. But an hour after that, making sure that she goes back out and that she does a poo. So it's a good time for a longer walk. So you can time the meal for an hour, 45 minutes before you're planning on going on an actual walk or something outside, or you're going to spend time outside in the yard anyways. Because I found that if she was out alone, sometimes she went and sometimes she didn't, and I was never really sure. And those are times when she'd have an accident inside. But if I got visual confirmation and I was out there with her and she went, and I would say, go do your business and go pee, and then she would go, then she didn't have an accident in the house. The other thing is that I know you mentioned this, that if you go in another room or something, sometimes she has an accident, and I found that same thing. It's not a spiteful thing. It's just she's unsupervised and she just poops, and sometimes she just has to poop really frequently. She poops 5 times a day, which is not average. She might just have a really fast digestion and she needs to mature a little bit. So if I was going to be leaving her loose in the house, doing a bath with my daughter, or I'm you know, we're going to the bedroom to get dressed and it takes a while, whatever, I would crate her. So I suggest that you do that too. So if you're going to be leaving her alone in part of the house, and I just generally for puppies, I close off rooms that are carpeted if possible. So like our bedroom's carpeted, that door stays closed. I also close off bathrooms and keep those doors closed so that they can't go on mats, like bath mats, which is also really common for puppies, or get into garbage there. And she's definitely sniffed the garbage as well. So our garbage has a closed lid, but she's still kind of if I see her sniffing, big hey, and clap my hands, startle her, and she'll just move away. But if you see it, just make sure that you say something to her. Don't just let her sniff the garbage. Yeah, so that's her potty train. So I would close doors of rooms with mats or carpets in them, and make sure that she's going out fairly frequently. She actually holds her pee for quite a while. It's funny because she poops really frequently, but she doesn't pee that frequently. So going out to pee once an hour is fine. And I would offer her the chance. So just let her outside. She likes going out anyways, so just let her outside. You know, you could set a little timer on your phone and just take her out every hour. If I do that for a while, I find that I'm like, you know, my brain's like, oh, time to take the dog out, even if I don't have the timer set. So those are things I'd like you to continue, so that you continue to have success, so that she's not, because she's not ready for full freedom in the house. Like, you know, she's not, she's kind of asking to go out. She's kind of going over to the door sometimes, but sometimes it's just to go out and play, and sometimes it's to do potty. But you know, she will just go in the house if she doesn't get your attention right away. So so I want you to be pretty strict about those tips.